that we are approved by the FDA as organic black men. Do you understand the point that I'm making? So until we can come out of that matrix, we're going to constantly be trapped. So my point is, it's the illusion of time that he gives us when he decrees your existence. He creates your destiny by impressioning your mind, by influencing your mind. He now has created your destiny because we accept the thought. Not realizing that he never had the ability to decree anything on anybody's life. He was never given that authority, which is why there's so many miraculous stories of people who have transcended the limitations of his institutionalized imperialistic colonialist mind.
Hey, you only got
Many
6
people,
months to live.
come on.
Right.
Many people have transcended those illusions. So those very illusions were created and projected to destroy us. Whenever somebody gives you a limit, they're contributing to your destruction. Immediately. Because you have the power to create and manifest things that have never been manifested before. You have the power to do things that have never been done before. So somebody speaking to you towards your limitation, they're now trying to consciously and intentionally destroy your creative possibility. Do you see the point I'm making? We can do many things that he had not even imagined. How can he limit divine potential with Newtonian physics? It's impossible. That's why quantum physicists start blowing their damn mind. It's a reality. Now, I also want to speak in regards to that limitation is how I used to look at Malachi York information. I used to look at that information and say, you know what? This is crazy, man. You're talking about reptilians, and we're going to turn into reptilians, and these reptilians are walking around here, and people from outer space, and the shaggy people, and all that. I used to look at that information and be like, this is insane. But then you know what I realized? That the only way out of imprisonment is insanity. That we must achieve a state of divine madness, getting mad at the European to escape from his mental imprisonment, his mental incarceration. So I started to say, you know what? Anything that you can conceive outside of the box, you don't have to believe it or accept it to be true. But the fact that you can conceive outside of his spectrum of reality, you have already been free. Because he has taught you to believe what is true and what is not true. And what we believe is true and what we believe is not true is the prison that we live in that allows him to rule over us. So it's not until you can entertain concepts and ideas out of the box can you efficiently step out of the box. So now I go and read Dr. York's material like he's a professor. Do you see the point I'm making? And not a professor, someone who professes to know, but someone who has a divine philosophy. So I go back and relook at that material because we got to get out of his box. Einstein saw himself floating on a light beam and came up with the theory of relativity that came up with the atom bomb. So you see the point I'm making? But he could have been looked at as crazy for thinking on that level. But this out-of-the-box type mentality shapes how these Europeans see science and physics today. So my point is we have to be able to start thinking outside of the box if we're going to get out.
Right.
George Washington Carver was thinking out of the box with the pizza. Thinking out of the box. So anybody who's thinking out of the box, that is part of our liberation. Thinking out of the box. Now last week, I was talking about the Jeremiah Wright situation going on with Jeremiah Wright, which I want to refine, because luckily it didn't record last week. And that's good, because it's all recorded in the Akashic Records. Mind never forgets. And we all speaking from one collective conscious ancestral mind. And it's all in us. So all I'm doing is affirming and chanting what is already written and encoded within our DNA. But last week in talking about Jeremiah Wright, or wrong, Jeremiah Wright or wrong, is we look at Barack Obama. And in refining that, I said the same thing that's going on between Barack Obama and Jeremiah Wright is the same thing that went on with Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X. Yep. Very interesting realization. Now here it is that Elijah Muhammad is established before the European ever found out about the nation. He had stores and businesses and was growing and really building a black nation.
So, I shall write me, come to where we teaches over here on Stony Island and other places throughout the country. Come on. So as I say unto you, my beloved, save one.
It was happening. Businesses and stores and economy. And here come this young fella named Malcolm X.
Malcolm X.
He declared our rank on this earth to be a man, to be a human being, to be respected as a human being, to be given the rights of a human being in this society, on this earth, in this day, which we intend to bring into existence by any means necessary.
And here come this young fella named Malcolm X, who joins the nation, coming out of prison, coming into the enlightenment of who we are as a people. He joins Elijah Muhammad. Now, fiery in the nation, he chooses more of a political platform to represent the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. This political platform leads him to a world audience that includes Europeans. Do you see what I'm making? So now, he's invited to show the hate that hate produced.
I charge the white man with being the greatest liar on earth. I charge the white man with being the greatest drunkard on earth. I charge the white man with being the greatest swine eater on earth, yet the Bible forbids it. I charge the white man with being the greatest gambler on earth. I charge the white man, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, with being the greatest murderer on earth. I charge the white man with being the greatest peace breaker on earth. I charge the white man with being the greatest adulterer on earth. I charge the white man with being the greatest robber on earth. I charge the white man with being the greatest deceiver on earth. I charge the white man with being the greatest troublemaker on earth. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I ask you, bring back a verdict of guilty as charged.
The indictment you've just heard is being delivered over and over again in most of the major cities across the country. This charge comes at the climax of a morality play called The Trial. The plot, indeed the message of the play, is that the white man has been put on trial for his sins against the black man. He has been found guilty. The sentence is death. The play is sponsored, produced by a Negro religious group who call themselves the Muslims. They use a good deal of the paraphernalia of the traditional religion of Islam, but...
So now, he's invited to show the hate that hate produced. And Elijah told him, I don't think you should do that. I don't think that'd be a good idea. Now he joins the show. All these white people become aware now of the nation and Malcolm X and the conscious community in Harlem. All these white boys know about it now. Now they come with your FBI and your counter-intel probe because now they're aware of this large, massive black movement that look like it has no end to its development and look like they're actually going to have to pay for what they did for 400 years of slavery. So now they're threatened. They're threatened by Malcolm, by the nation. And that put Elijah Muhammad on Front Street. Now, Malcolm seemed far beyond in a person who has established an institution autonomous, independent, and self-sufficient from white supremacist control. I'm not saying that there was not some capitalistic and economic relationship between the nation and white corporate America. But I'm saying there was some degree of autonomy and independence there. there was some degree of sovereignty with a black nation within the realms of the Nation of Islam. Now he exposes this to the Europeans and jeopardized that autonomy for more of a world platform to speak on. So now, Malcolm, out of the desire for money, people don't know that. Malcolm was about money. Sorry. Out of his desire for money, with Betty Shabazz in his ear, talking about, well, you help make the paper. You help do this, Malcolm. You help make Elijah. You the man on top. The materialistic Asiatic black woman getting in the black man's ear, which really goes on in America. Because at least we're 14th largest spending power in the world. Who's buying it? And if we're buying it, who are we buying it for? So the black woman is the number one engine to our consumerism and capitalism within the black community. We're buying for her and buying to show off for her. Do you understand what I'm making? These small materialistic goods. So now Betty's in his ear. You help make the nation. You design the paper. You should be doing your own thing. So Malcolm's ego grows beyond the confinements of this well-established and well-oiled machine. You see what I'm making? His ego goes bigger than that. And now he steps out kind of on his own to do his own thing. He starts thinking he's bigger than Elijah. Barak bigger than Jeremiah Wright. Jeremiah Wright has an institution, very Christian, which is based on total methodology and bullshit.
Right.
But comparatively is a black theological institution where they're at least teaching that there's a black bullshit Christ. At least he's black though. Comparatively, is relatively higher than institutions pushing a white Christ that would never use the word liberation with their congregation. But he's teaching a black liberation theology. Very dangerous combination of words in the black church community. So now, Malcolm, or Barak, becomes a member of this institution. This 40-year institution, Jeremiah Wright has provided some humanitarian service to the community. Say he got an AIDS ministry. You know, he got a fatherhood ministry. He got a pregnant mother ministry. There are some ministries where he's doing some work in the community.
In 1972, Jeremiah Wright became pastor of Trinity United Church of Christ in Chicago. He inherited a struggling congregation of just 87 members.
I have a friend who every time you greet him, every time you ask him how you doing, answers, just trying to make it, man. Just trying to make it.
But by the mid-1980s, when PBS's Frontline shot this film about Wright, he'd grown the congregation to several thousand.
In our homes, help us to be your church. In our private lives, help us to be your church. In our dealings one with another, help us to be your church. Though our minds wander, our souls love only you. Let the church say amen. Say amen again.
Trinity Church is located in a largely black neighborhood on the south side of Chicago, a mixture of working-class people and the poor.
Unfortunately, most churches now are status quo. And so that, you know, to the extent they're not trying to feed the poor, they're not trying to hook up jobs in people. They're not concerned about the lowest, the least, the left out. They're not concerned about the youth. They're concerned about, let me come here on a Sunday, hear something that tells me I'm okay and I'm going back to where I've been going. Don't rock the boat.
How about the fact that we have pledged to take what we've got as black people and put it back into the black community? That's what I want to ask you.
He challenged his growing congregation not to lose sight of the needs of their neighbors.
I want to be a vehicle designer.
That meant soup kitchens, daycare, drug and legal counseling, and mentoring for young people.
I watched TV and looked at lawyers through the past years, and I basically like, you know, the field of being a lawyer. It's really exciting.
As a matter of fact, there are a couple lawyers here in the church that maybe we could just hook you up with.
Well, I like to be a doctor.
You can't beat what you ain't seen. And so many of our young boys haven't seen nothing but the gangs and the pimps and the brothers on the corner. They've never sat and talked to lawyers. They've never sat and talked to a man, a black man with 2-3 degrees, they never had a chance. They never had